Our next candidates will be for the Ohio State Senate. The Senate districts vary in geographic size from part of a single city to several counties. Each state senator represents an equal number of people, serving approximately 34,000 constituents. Each Senate district is comprised of 3 House districts. In each general election year, approximately half of the state Senate is on the ballot. Both newly elected and midterm senators are sworn in on the first day of the session, which marks the beginning of a new General Assembly. The Ohio voters passed a constitutional amendment in 1992, limiting state senators to 2 4-year terms. Our 2 candidates are Ms. Capri Cafaro and Mrs. Nancy MacArthur. Through the draw, Ms. Cafaro will be going first with her 2-minute opening statement.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I'm going to do my best to speed read. I actually have been writing my intros to try to keep with the time constraints. I know many of you. I'm State Senator Capri Cafaro, and over the last 5.5 years, I've built a proven track record of advocating for policies that promote economic growth and strengthen our communities. I'm also very proud to be a 4th-generation Trumbull County resident. I was instrumental in achieving much-needed infrastructure improvements for water and sewer lines. I helped rewrite the costly laws governing septic tanks. I stood up for local control and safety under the oil and gas law revisions, and of course spoke loud and clear to protect collective bargaining rights for our public employees. I was honored to fight for economic growth as the member of the Audit Task Force, the Regulatory Reform Task Force, and as the Vice Chair of the Bioproducts and Polymers Task Force. I helped pass the regulatory reform law that makes Ohio more attractive and user-friendly to businesses large and small, and authored a bill to create a bio-based products state procurement standard that became law in 2010. More recently, I sponsored Senate Bill 314, creating the new Developmental Service Agency in Ohio, the Tourism Ohio Pilot Program, and enhanced flexibility for both the Small Business Capital Access Program and the Ohio Enterprise Bond Fund. This bill was signed into law in June of 2012. Locally, I worked in a bipartisan manner at the state, local, and federal level to help make sanitary sewers a reality in Kinsman. I continue to advocate for water and sewer access for our western townships, and have fought for strengthened road use maintenance agreement for our oil and gas operators. I've recently been endorsed by the Warren Tribune Chronicle, the Youngstown Vindicator, and the Cleveland Plain Dealer. The Warren Tribune Chronicle noted Cafaro, quote, "Cafaro has worked well with her Republican counterparts. The incumbent state senator deserves to stay in office," unquote. The Youngstown Vindicator said, quote, "Her legislative record is replete with public policy initiatives, but it is her commitment to senior citizens and the poor that have made the senator's tenure in office worthy of voter support. It is your endorsement that means the most, though." Thank you very much. I look forward to your questions.
Mrs. MacArthur?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for putting this forum on. I think it's really important that the voters get to have a choice and get to know their candidates. My name is Nancy MacArthur. I am on a city council in Chardon-Rydland, which is now part of District 32. And I am running for this office because I believe I can be a better advocate for the entire District of 32, which includes Trumbull County, Ashtabula, and part of Geauga County. I've been on city council for 3 years and planning commission for 5, and so I've been in local government for about 8 years. But most of my experience has been in the private sector, where I've been a businesswoman for over 25 years. I have a very long list of accomplishments as a business person, working in business development, marketing, sales, human resources, and I've been working with leaders both in government and in business in Northeast Ohio since 1984. My husband and I have been married for 32 years. We have a daughter, Kelly, who's a senior at Ohio University, where she's studying journalism. And we have a son who's a freshman at Chardon High School. He's a member of the marching band and also going to be an Eagle Scout this year. So we're very proud of our family. We love being in Northeast Ohio. My biggest concern is having a good job environment, not only for people here now, but for future generations. And I know we're all concerned about that. I know that I can go down to Columbus and advocate for this district like nobody else can. I've been traveling throughout the district for over a year, and I've heard a lot of concerns about legislative things that are affecting people's businesses. You know, the government doesn't create jobs, the private sector does, and we need to make sure that we get rid of any regulation that's going to harm business. And I guarantee you, I will go down there and fight for this district like nobody else has in 20 years. Thank you very much.
For our first question, it would be answered first by Mrs. MacArthur. The question is, please give your definition of compromise and how you plan to live up to your definition.
My definition of compromise. Well, you know, taking that out of context, I can tell you that while I've been on city council, I've worked with a lot of different people. Some of them are in Republican parties, some are in Democrat party. It doesn't really matter because when you're elected to serve as an official, you took your oath very seriously and you care about your community and you want to do what's right for everyone. So compromise means that you listen to all parties involved, you make the best decision that you can with all the information that you have, within the limitations that you have, and you do what's right for the people that live, work, and pay the taxes in your district. Because after all, that's who you have to answer to, and that's who I would answer to as your state senator. Thank you.
Mr. Farrell?
Thank you. I believe that my tenure in the state senate has reflected what I believe compromise means. I have worked consistently hand in hand with members of the Republican Party to pass legislation. I mentioned the bioproducts procurement, for example. That was passed along with my colleague, former colleague, Senator Karen Gilmore, who is a Republican. The DSA bill, Senate Bill 314 that I mentioned, the Jobs 2 bill was passed with Senator Mark Wagner, a Republican from the Toledo area. I've also recently passed bills in the Senate with other Republican members, including Frank LaRose, for a very specific update to our counseling boards, as well as the second round of pill mill bill updates with Senator Dave Burke, all Republicans. We absolutely have to be able to work together, each and every one of us, putting partisan politics aside and making sure that the people are the ones that are appropriately represented. And I believe that I've shown just that during my tenure in office. Thank you.
Okay, so line it back. You'll be first on the next question.
Fair enough.
The next question is, do you believe in bipartisanship? Please give examples and how we can improve the climate to get things done.
Well, I think I just answered that question. So I guess you obviously know that it does not matter whether or not we are Democrats or Republicans. Ultimately, we are Americans, we are Ohioans. And the only way that we can effectively have, I believe, a stronger public policy debate is having a dialogue. And I'll tell you, I have had a lot of success not only passing bills directly with a bipartisan structure, which I actually implemented in the Senate when I was minority leader. Before my tenure as minority leader, when I started in 2009, we actually did not have the option to have dual sponsorships in the Ohio Senate. I'm proud to say that I'm the person that brought that into reality with former President Bill Harris, and continues to this day under the tenure of Senator President Niehaus and Leader Eric Kearney. So again, I believe that bipartisanship, I have been exemplary in the mission of bipartisanship in my tenure, and I hope to continue to have that opportunity to be effective in that manner for all Ohioans.
Mrs. MacArthur?
Compromise and bipartisanship go together like peanut butter and jelly. We know that. I can tell you that since I've been on city council, there has been no partisan anything, because we care about our community and we want to do what's right. We want to spend the tax dollars responsibly, and we want to bring products and services to our community that are going to benefit the community. When I go to Columbus, I'm going to do the same thing. We have a Republican-held majority, and I can tell you that people have asked me, am I going to be pressured to do what's what's best for Columbus, and that's just not the case. And you can ask anybody that knows me. I'm a bulldog. I fight for what's right for the people that live in my community, and I'm responsible to the taxpayers, the businesses, and the residents. So I agree with Ms. Gaffaro. You have to be able to work across the board with everybody to make sure that you're accomplishing the goals that you want to achieve. And what we have to do for District 32 is make sure that we have jobs so people can stay here and work, and that we have a future. So that's what I plan to do. Thank you.
Our next question, Mrs. MacArthur will answer first. What Ohio laws on the books now hurt business?
Say again.
What Ohio laws on the books now
Hurts business? You know, we have so many laws on, through the Ohio Revised Code that I could probably sit here and, if you looked at the Ohio Revised Code, it's quite cumbersome. But I can tell you, as I've been traveling throughout the district, I hear of things. For instance, we have a local brewery in Chardon Brew Works, and I know these people. They're really good people. The woman is a nurse. The man is a truck driver. They're great people, and they started this business. And they just recently found that they can't carry a product line because of the high licenses and the fees that they have to pay. So now they're reduced to what they can offer their customers. So that means that they can't make as much money. And this is just a very small example of the types of things that our businesses and small and mid businesses are experiencing. So I can tell you that the things that the state thinks are going to increase revenue are going to hurt business, and they're going to hurt this district.
Well, we have made some improvements over the last several years under both Democrats and Republicans. Whether it was the replacement of the tangible personal property tax or the commercial activity tax, Jobs Ohio, the creative nonprofit private entity that creates potential for job growth in Ohio, which I supported when it was absolutely not politically popular to do as a Democrat. And as I mentioned before, I served on the Regulatory Reform Task Force, and we've moved forward with implementing laws to help reduce the regulatory burden. That being said, we can still do more for our small businesses. I'll give you an example. The Job Creation Retention Tax Credit that is on the books is much more focused towards the GM Lordstowns of the world, the RMIs, etc., larger manufacturing businesses. I believe that we should focus the JCTC, which has to be paid for because we can't print money like the federal government, towards small and medium enterprises. And I think that we can do that as we go forward, either with our, a portion of our surplus or with, a portion of the severance tax to reinvest in economic growth and not just wasteful spending. Thank you.
And for our final questions for the senators, candidates, and Skip Barrow will go first. Sorry, it's okay. How do you plan to represent the citizens of your district and get results for the best interest of all the people of Ohio?
Thank you for that question. And again, I do believe, well, there's always room for improvement, and there's always an opportunity to do better. That I have had a record of accomplishment for the entire district. I believe the 32nd district, particularly with the addition of communities in Geauga County, is very much a microcosm of the state. Whether it is the city of Warren and the challenges they have with blight and the land banking and crime, or if it's our communities in Ashtabula County and Northern Trumbull having to do with our agricultural resources, whether it's our small businesses, our schools, we are a microcosm of the needs and the demographics of this state. And I believe that my legislative accomplishments that I've already noted, working with businesses towards economic growth, towards fairness for all, is reflective of meeting the needs of the entire district. I'm a public servant, not a politician, and I hope to continue to be that way. Thank you.
Mrs. MacArthur?
Can you repeat the question again, Cheryl?
Question is, how do you plan to represent the citizens of your district and get results for the best interest of all the people of Ohio?
Yeah, it's a great question, and you know, it's something that I'm passionate about. You know, since Georgia County was added into the district, where I live is about midway in the district, so I can get anywhere in this district in about an hour. And I can tell you, I have spent the last year traveling throughout the district, talking to residents and business owners, and I can tell you, they think that we can do better, and I know that we can too. I remember when Ohio was booming back in the early 1980s when my husband and I first moved here, and there's no reason why we can't have that again. I do believe that Columbus knows who I am, they respect me, and I know leaders throughout Northeast Ohio, both in municipalities and townships. I've worked with chambers, I've worked with economic development groups, and with my business background, I know that we can do a lot more here, and I plan to do just that when I go to Columbus, so thank you.
And now for their 2-minute closings. First will be Mrs. MacArthur.
Again, my name is Nancy MacArthur. I know that you don't know me. I'm from a neighboring county that has not been part of this district. But I can tell you that the last Republican that was in this district was Chip Henry. And he was one of our judges. And he went on to greater things. And we miss him dearly. I ask you, if you think that we can do better, should we send different people to Columbus? Because I can tell you this, I put my principles over my party every time. And every company and every organization I've represented, I've gotten more than the results that were expected. And I plan to do the same for this district. So I ask you to get to know me, give me an opportunity to go down and represent you. I promise you I will stay there for 4 years. I will not go for any other seats, and I will not take any other appointments. I will represent the district. I will respect you, listen to you, and advocate you in ways that no one else has done in 20 years in this county. If you want to know more about me, my website is nancymacarthur.com. My cell phone is on there. I'm open to having conversations with anyone. And I ask for your vote on November 6th. Thank you very much.
Ms. Morrow, thank you.
I want to thank the League of Women Voters of Trumbull County for putting this on and creating this forum for democracy and democratic small d dialogue. It's wonderful. I am proud to have an opportunity to work for you. I know that you see the signs and whatnot that say, you know, my website is Capri works for me. I take that very seriously. I don't take my pay. I try to make myself as available as possible. I invest in making sure that we have a district office available to better serve the needs of the entire district. And so I hope to have an opportunity to continue to work for you. I know that this district does not belong to me. It does not belong to my opponent. It does not belong to a Democrat or a Republican. It belongs to you, the people of the 32nd Senate District. And so it is my solemn promise that if given the opportunity to continue to occupy this seat and represent you, that I will do everything that I can to continue to build upon the successes and the track record over the last 5.5 years as your state senator in Trumbull and Ashtabula County, to equitably represent those that are currently living in the 5 townships in the city of Chardon, in Geauga County as part of the new 32nd District. I hope to continue to be a balanced, fair, honest, and transparent voice for this community, advocating for economic growth, for equality, and for opportunity. I'm proud to say that I have the endorsements. I mentioned the newspapers before, the Tribune, the Vindicator, and the Plain Dealer. The Plain Dealer asserted, quote, Cufaro has easily earned her second 4-year term. She has become a serious, seasoned, and knowledgeable lawmaker. I'm proud to have the endorsement of both the Ohio Chamber of Commerce, who's obviously recognized my work on economic development, and the Ohio AFL-CIO, along with roughly 20 other endorsements from a variety of organizations across the state of Ohio. But as I said earlier, it is the only thing that is important as far as endorsements are concerned is your vote and your commitment. So thank you very much for the opportunity to serve. And